Foundation, and I have a special guest with me today. This is Gabe. He is going to be our CPR instructor. So I am going to let him explain a little bit about what his course is and everything that is included with that, with our e-course and our on-site course when we get back into doing that. So I'm going to turn the time over to him for right now. Everybody, here's Gabe.
Hi, nice to meet all of you. Nicole, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I'm super grateful for this. To Nicole and Christy. So a little bit about me and what I'm doing with this program is I work for a company called Save a Heart, and we do CPR and first aid trainings and certifications. The CPR portion is what we'll talk mostly about today. And so a little bit about myself. I have been an instructor for Save a Heart in the Spanish and English side for 2 years now, and I love it. I love to get to meet everyone and teach life-saving skills, basic life-saving skills. A little bit about me personally. My name is Gabriel Cowley, here from Salt Lake City. If any of you are from here, I went to East High School and then later graduated from the University of Utah in Spanish with a minor in strategic communications. I learned my Spanish by living in Mexico City for 2 years, which was a great experience. Loved the people there. Some of my hobbies and passions: I love sports, all kinds of sports. I love baseball, played baseball in high school, love basketball. I love being outdoors. I think you guys can see some of the photos there. There's me hiking in Moab, Delicate Arch, love that. And also, you might not know this, well, you probably don't know this, but judging by how I look, I play a lot of chess. I'm passionate about chess. I toured all around Utah in elementary school playing chess, and that was a great experience for me. I love all animals. There's me in the first photo holding a yellow snake. That's my snake Mo. And the puppy in the last photo is my English cream. I love him. And the photo there with the beautiful girl, that's my girlfriend, 4 years, Jane, and we love to travel together. That photo was taken in Sevilla, Spain. After I graduated in Spanish, we thought it would be fun to go see all of the places that I studied. So a little bit about Save a Heart, the company that I work for. We've been in business for 24 years, and we teach about 3,500 certifications a year, and that varies from dentists to daycare workers to foster care. Really anyone that needs to be certified. We're a heavily requested training facility. And as far as what we teach, let's see here. So as far as what we teach, we go into scene survey. So we talk about what it requires us to go into a scene. If the scene is unsafe, like a burning building or active shooter situation, it's better for us to just not enter that scene to put us in danger once we're in the scene. So everything I'm talking about, we're assuming that it's all scene safety and we're going forward. So the very first thing for any of you who have taken CPR before it was ABC. That might ring a bell for you that have been certified. So that was airway, breathing, and then compressions. That's recently changed to CAB, and CAB is compressions, airway, breathing. So with that, we do our scene size up, and then I elaborate on the Good Samaritan law, because doing CPR is nerve-wracking, especially if you haven't done it before. And what impedes a lot of first-timers or even second-timers from doing their CPR or their compressions is actually fear of liability. So that's when I elaborate more on the Good Samaritan law, which essentially is a law that protects us as good-willed Samaritans trying to help someone, a lay person. And if that occurs, and let's say we crack a rib or dislodge some cartilage in the chest, that just protects us from not being sued. So the liability, we're pretty much covered unless you're hitting someone with a baseball bat on the chest. You're good to go. So after that, after we've established that and we're actually in the scenario where we check for breathing, if their breathing is irregular or it's absent, then we go straight into compression. And we do compressions at a rate of 30 compressions to 2 rescue breaths. And I'll elaborate a little bit more on that. So in that situation, as soon as we've discovered that this person is in fact unresponsive by a shoulder tap or a kick on the foot, if calling them by name and they're not responsive to that, and if they're not breathing regularly, we go straight into the compressions. If I'm in a public scenario, what I would do is instantly delegate responsibility. I would tell someone to call 911, someone to get an AED, and then something that's new in the CPR procedure or certification is we would also ask if we suspect opioid overdose if anyone has a naloxone zone or if the building has a naloxone zone. And I'll also elaborate a little bit on that. So we continue with our CAB at 30 compressions mid-chest, and we go hard and fast. You want to straighten your elbows, and I'll actually do a demonstration here with this little dummy behind me. You can see it. We do 30 compressions, 2 rescue breaths, and while the AED is being retrieved, as soon as the AED arrives, it typically will come with EMT scissors that we'll use to just take off the clothing so we can put the pads on direct skin contact, and I'll also go over how the AED works. The AED is our best friend in CPR. It will kind of mentor you through it. They come with instructions. They're very beginner friendly, and they'll help kind of calm your nerves in that situation. There's an interesting statistic provided by the American Heart Association about the AED. So for every minute that passes after 2 minutes of not having compressions nor the AED placed on the individual who is unresponsive, their chance of survival decreases 10% every minute. So you can see how the importance of beginning this cycle early and not wasting too much time panicking. I always just say attack with aggressiveness towards the situation. We don't want to be hesitant, so just go straight in, check for breathing, and jump straight into the CAB. So I'll just do a quick demonstration of kind of what this looks like. You can see me here. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that this person is in fact unresponsive. We hope they're not unresponsive, but we got to check and see. So my name is Gabriel, so I'll be calling the dummy Gabriel. So what I want to do, I survey my scene. I make sure that the scene is safe. There's no imminent danger for me. I go in, I do a shoulder tap. I would just do, Gabriel, are you okay? So he's unresponsive to that. I would immediately delegate responsibility. I would say, Nicole, call 911. Christy, get an AED. And then if I suspect there's opioid overdose, what I want to do is ask if anyone has naloxone. Naloxone can be provided by a great website called UtahNaloxone.org. For any of you training facilities, they will be provided subsidized or free. We partner with them, so they're awesome. And then as far as that goes, we go straight into compressions. I want to get, well, first we want to check and see if they are in fact unresponsive. So I place my hand on the middle of their chest. I'm checking for chest rise and fall. So what that indicates to me is that they're breathing. And I check for a pulse. You can also put your face next to their face to see if they're breathing. If they're breathing, they're going to have a pulse. So I check for irregularities in the breathing. If there's any gasping or what we call the death rattle, where there's an extended period of time where they're not breathing and then they're gasping like they're dying, which they are, you go straight in, put your dominant hand down on the individual mid-chest line. Lock your fingers like this, and then you want to straighten your arms like this, arch your back over the individual. You want to let your body weight help you. And then we do 30 compressions. Push this around so you can see these mannequins come with lights to show if you're hitting adequate depth. You want to hit 2 inches on an adult, 1 1/3 on an infant. And these are great help to show the adequate depth. So when I'm hitting adequate depth, it will give me these 2 dots. And we want to do that to 100 to 120 a minute, and to the pace of 100 and 120 a minute. And that's the song Baby Shark, if you guys like that song, or Staying Alive. If you guys have seen The Office, that's a great clip. They do that one. So 100 to 120, 30 compressions mid-chest. Looks like this. Then after I've completed the 30, if I have someone with me, I would ask them, or they would provide rescue breaths. So this is a rescue breathing mask. The rule of thumb, you guys can see this, and they're super beginner friendly. They'll come with instructions on where to place them. It says nose here, so you place that over the nose. You want to make sure that this elongated thick straw is coming out of the mouth so you can breathe directly into that. Make sure that it's completely sealed. And this would be the second person's job who's helping me. So I would be on compressions. They would have this ready with the head tilt chin lift to make sure that that air goes directly down into the chest. We would be checking for chest rise and fall as they breathe. So with an adult, it would be a 1 second exhale, and then we would wait 5 to 6 seconds and then do another exhale. So it looked like that. Make sure that that is sealed. Again, so after this person completes their 2 rescue breaths, we go straight into the 30 compressions. We do that 5 times, and then me and whoever is helping me, we would switch. So I would go to rescue breathing, and that individual would go to the 30 compression. And the reason is for that is you're going to start getting tired, especially with all the anxiety. You're pushing really hard on this individual. You might not even realize it, but you're no longer hitting the adequate depth. So that way, it's just a lot safer for this person, and their chance of survival increases. So once the AED arrives, typically what it looks like for those of you who are not familiar with an AED, this is a little practice one. So this is an adult, so they come with the adult pads. And like I said earlier, it's super beginner friendly. I don't know if you guys can see that. It will tell you exactly where to place them on the individual. So typically it's the top right pec and the bottom left rib cage. This is indicating to me. So I would take the clothing off because it does need to be placed on direct skin contact. Plug it in. I know that's painfully obvious, but I gotta say it. Plug it in. These are also super friendly. They come in Spanish and English most of the time. They might even come in other languages. Press it on.
Analyzing rhythm. Everyone stand.
And then from there, it'll pretty much walk you through exactly what to do. So the job of the AED is to go in and check for any irregularities or absent heartbeat. If it detects either of those 2 things, it will advise for a shock. With the shock, see how it's flashing? It's indicating for me to manually press the shock button. So as I press the shock button, I want to make sure that everyone's standing clear. If you're touching the person, it'll shock you as well. It shocks at about 4,000 voltage, so it's about equivalent to a police taser. So you don't want to be shocked by this. So I press the shock button. It administers the shock, and then it'll walk me through what to do from there. So it's telling me to do 5 cycles of CPR as I explained earlier. So we do the exact same thing, and this is something that might be a little bit confusing. You don't want to take the pads off once they're on. So once they're on, don't take them off, and then we do the 5 cycles of CPR while this is checking the heartbeat. Let me just go over the administration of naloxone really quick. So if I detect that this individual has overdosed on opioids, or I'm not sure, but I might suspect it, what I want to do is get naloxone or Narcan, and this is administered one of 2 ways. It's either intranasal, so it would come in a nasal spray. I always say it looks like Afrin for those of you that are familiar with the cold medicine Afrin, or it comes in a syringe intramuscular, which is typically done in the thicker part of the shoulder or the outer quadrant of the quadricep. So the downside with naloxone, after it's administered, it takes about 3 to 5 minutes for the naloxone to kick in. So as it's kicking in, you want to continue with your 5 cycles of 30 compressions. Do everything the exact same through the protocol, CAB. And typically it's administered with 1 milliliter, or you can do 1 spray in each nostril. And if I know that this individual has overdosed, they've been using, or there's obvious signs of drug use, and they don't come to responsiveness in 5 minutes, what I'll do is I'll just give them the exact same dose. So go through that protocol. I'm doing compressions. I have my watch on where I'm checking the time. And after 5 minutes, if this individual hasn't come responsive and I know that they've overdosed, I will hit them again with another dose of naloxone, if that makes sense. And we just continue the process until the advanced life support arrives, because we activated them earlier. So one other thing I'll mention with the naloxone is The downside, or something that you have to be aware of, is that it usually only lasts 30 minutes to an hour and a half, whereas the half-life of the opioid that they've taken may last up to 8 hours. So you can see how that's problematic, that even if we do resuscitate them, they're good for about 30 minutes to an hour and a half, and they can overdose again, actually, without even taking any more opioid still in their system. That's why it's crucially important to administer the naloxone as quickly as possible, as well as activate advanced life support by calling 911 so that they continue monitoring them.
All right, so I just want to thank Gabe for being here with us as our special guest. We're going to get more into talking about like what our e-courses are with CPR and everything with that right now. So basically, we are offering once a month an e-course for right now. So the month of May, we'll be posting on our dates about that on our Facebook page and our website. And the link to register is in the chat. So if you're interested, you can get signed up right now, and he will be hosting it. It will be an online class. So that means that you will just log into like a Zoom chat, just like everybody in the world's doing right now. So we'll be sending out that. If you get registered, we'll just email you the link. You can click on it, and it will be maybe an hour to an hour and a half class, and he'll just be going more in depth on everything he went over today, as well as we will be giving the coupons that I talked about last week in our live video, the hour one-on-one, just getting that hands-on experience if that's what you would like. We give that and offer that to make sure you get the most out of the class, because we can only do it online, and then schedule those one-on-ones with instructors. So we'll be going over next week in another live video. Was it basic life-saving skills?
So next week, we'll be going over the first aid portion. So if the person is responsive, we'll go over stopping blood loss, applying a tourniquet, strokes, heart attack, and many other things. So join us next week for that as well. And we will also elaborate a little bit more on the CPR portion, choking, infant CPR, as well as pediatric CPR as well. So join us for that. It'll be interesting.
Okay, thank you guys. We will be posting on our Facebook page our next date and our time for our live videos, so we'll look forward to seeing you. Thanks.